Going out and teaching people about something that we do every single day anyway. And I thought it was something that was very much needed. Turn around so she can see the top of his head. And he's got a nice full bite. He's committed. Okay, so does he look pretty locked on? They don't really lock their jaws, but they're so darn determined and they're so darn strong that it looks like it. If you have one coming your way, this is another thing about the pit bull. If I go to a yard and there are multiple pit bulls, that's a red flag for me. Because they were bred to be aggressive towards other dogs, if they're not aggressive towards other dogs, I go, Every situation I've been in where a pit bull did bite somebody, it was side by side with another pit bull dog. Who wants to take a bite? Volunteer? I think a lot of what happens out there in some of these attacks is it's not necessarily the dogs going out hunting for someone to bite, it's what the people do. The people don't even realize that it's their actions and motions that often trigger the attacks in the first place. There you go. Good. Good. Yeah, good boy. Oh, his eye's red. Straighten out your arm. Straighten out your arm. The worst thing you can do is run from a dog if it's chasing you. So I think, stand your ground. Equal or greater, never below. I've always been involved with animals. It was horses first, and it was my husband who had pit bulls when we were dating. And one thing I wanted to do for sure, because my husband's pit bulls were so out of control and always in trouble, was obedience train the dog. That was kind of the beginning of it for me. And it was several years later that I got involved in the protection sports. I'm training him in French simply because I'm competing in French ring sport. Around the house, it's just, hey, get over here. But for formal training, it's more of the commandos. Capone, tabu. Pas bouger. Right now, Capone is the only pit bull in North America to have the French Ring 1 title. Thank you. Good boy. It's a sport that is dominated by the Belgian Malinois. They were bred for it, and they excel at it. Malinois are definitely the premier sport dog. They're fast, they're quick, they're easy learners, they're fun to train, they're just really super smart. Bingo! Bingo! I love a bubble. I just like doing it with them, though. I've always liked doing it with the alternate breeds, just because people say they can't. I want to show them differently that they can. And it's not because the dogs aren't capable of it. The sport is difficult in the handling aspect. You really have to know the rules. If you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, regardless of what the dog did, 0 points. So that can be a little discouraging to some people. I love Capone. He's probably one of my favorite dogs in the world. He's different than anything I've had in the past. He loves to train. He's not the fastest dog. He's not the best ring dog. He tries real hard. He's a good jumper. He's obedient. He's controlled. He has an incredibly hard bite, and for a lot of us in dog sports, the dog's biting style is often taken into consideration. It's important to keep in mind with all of these dogs that are doing sport work, we don't teach them to bite, the dogs already know how to bite. We're teaching them the control and when it's appropriate to bite and when it's not. The dog's not allowed to bite until the decoy hits the handler. If the dogs bite hands or feet or faces, they're not welcomed into the sport. So we want dogs that are very clear on the equipment. This is a game. This is like a sparring match. It's not for life or death. Some dogs just cannot stay within the rules, show power and control. They got one or the other, but not both. just a place the dog can escort if they want. They just have to guard the guy and be in a position to catch him as quickly as they can when he runs away. It's not necessarily the best place for my dog to be, but in his younger days I taught him that, so he has a tendency to revert back to that every now and then. It's kind of a fun spot for him. But it's all right. Thanks. He's my guy. He's my guy. Another thing about the pit bulls. You know, I've raised these dogs for 20 years. I've never had one try to bite me. I've had my Malinois snap. I've had Rottweiler snap. I've had Shepherd snap. The pit bulls are stable. You know, they were once known as the nanny dog because they were so good with children. Powerade, yeah. Some people that do French ring sport, their dogs are also quite efficient at personal protection as well. My dogs aren't. I didn't get them to protect me. I got them to work with and to train and to show. I don't know if he would or not. I like to think he would, but it's not a priority for me.
Of course, you do have a little bit more element of danger in some of your urban neighborhoods. So those people tend to get a dog to protect their yard. The dogs end up breeding, then they have a litter of, say, 8 to 10 dogs that they don't know what to do with.
What are you going to do? You're going to take that dog to the shelter, you know, or you're going to just, in some cases, turn it loose on the street, which is even worse.
If you look in the city shelters now, about 80–90% of the animals are pit bulls.
These are not dogs that anybody wants, and they're being euthanized, and that's a huge, huge problem.
That's not because they're horrible animals. It's because there's overbreeding, unfortunately, because they do make this presentation of machoism and toughness. They're in communities where they're less conscious about overbreeding, and so you go into inner cities all around the country and the packs of animals that are running loose are pit bulls.
What is one to do with all these dogs? But it's a reality, and I see it as more of a situation where it's an opportunity to work with people. Okay, let's get Queenie, and then that's the last dog.
What do you live for? Who would you kill for? What would you die for? Some people they don't know. Who would you ride for? How many you cry for? Who you got love for and put open your door? Who would you run with? Catch the case with? Be a co-D with? Neither one of you say itch. Who would you be real to? Be a true friend to? Who can you trust in this world beside you? Who would you run with? Catch a new case with? Be a co-D with? Neither one of you say itch. Who would you be real to? Be a true friend to? Who can you trust in this world beside you?
Downtown Dog Rescue is set up to primarily help very low-income people get their dogs spayed, neutered, licensed, and then we serve basically as a safety net for the dog. If the dog ends up in the shelter, we come and get the dog till we can find the owner or determine if the owner is even going to be able to take the dog back. We host spay and neuter events. We have trainers, we have dog food, we have resources, educating them a little bit and giving them information on how to incorporate the dog more into their family. Instead of focusing on, yeah, they're big, bad dogs, and that can be cool and everything, but they also are just great companions, but they need to be spayed and neutered because there's too many pit bulls.
I think it's kind of messed up for people to try to mandatorily make somebody spay or neuter their dog. But if you give the people the information so where they come and get their dog spayed or neutered, we can help kind of calm the excess of stray dogs in the neighborhoods.
And that's where, you know, the breeds is getting real hit hard now is in the inner city. Because you can buy them from backyard breeders for $50 to $100. Saying, oh, I got a pit bull, let me breed Crazy Joe's dog around the corner to my badass bitch. And we're going to have some crazy-ass puppies, you know what I mean? And it's mantra to own a pit bull. They had rap songs about pit bulls, rap videos, you see them in magazines. Everything you see now, a pit bull, pit bull.
All right, if it's a subtle neighborhood, then predominantly the people that live in that subtle neighborhood would want to have a subtle dog. If it's an aggressive neighborhood, then everybody want a tough dog. Don't nobody want no dog that's no punk. You walking down the street, somebody come try to snatch your purse, you're going to be like, hey, you know what I mean, I got my dog with me. Hey, you better go get him.
Everybody wants that dog to be a protector, but they're not taking the time out to train him the way that he's supposed to be.
Dog is trying, there she goes, there she goes.